You do not want to skip what, in my opinion, is the best meal of the day. If you have a desire for a great breakfast, but you just don't have the time, these are quick, they are convenient, they're easy reheat options, they are perfect. We make these regularly in our household.
Today we're making breakfast burritos. So we have 12 organic, medium-sized tortillas, and it's usually 1 egg per tortilla, maybe 1 1/4 egg. So I'll do 13 eggs, maybe 14. It'll be a sausage, egg, and cheese breakfast burrito. You could also do a bacon, egg, and cheese breakfast burrito. We've also done sausage, egg, and cheese and mushroom because this is my son and I's favorite breakfast burrito or favorite breakfast. Sour cream, you saw it was just a couple of fork halves, not even full.
Now, for this recipe, we are going to be using these Smithfield breakfast sausages, and we are not using them in a traditional way. You could absolutely just buy the 1 pound breakfast sausage that they have available in the stores, but we've made these breakfast burritos so many times. We love the way that these work, and it's the perfect amount of sausage for what we need. We love to just ground these up into ground sausage. So it's kind of a non-traditional way of doing it, but it works really well for us. Today's video is kindly sponsored by Smithfield. They are known for their premium pork products, and it's been a trusted name in households for over 85 years. Their sausage products are available in links, patties, and rolls. The sausage is made with premium cuts of pork. It is packaged and processed in the US and MSG free. All right, as you can see, that did not take long at all. We're gonna set this to the side and just let him finish up the eggs.
And I have the heat on high because I use the old Chef Ramsay method of cooking the eggs on high heat, moving it on and off the heat, stirring constantly. If you like that kind of pillowy texture to your eggs, that's what's gonna make it happen, is stirring constantly, take it on and off the heat. The only thing I will put in my eggs is salt to taste, no pepper, because my son doesn't like pepper. A couple of more, what do you call those little sticks of butter?
Tablespoon.
Yeah, a couple tablespoons, pad of butter, and a little bit more sour cream for the volume. Here's what's key on these eggs for the breakfast burrito. You wanna make them about 3/4 of the way. You don't wanna fully cook the eggs so that when you warm them up in the microwave and then flash fry them in the pan, they'll cook the rest of the way. And they won't be those kind of dry, flaky, I don't know if that's the right term, eggs that nobody really likes. You have a little bit of that scrambled egg shape, so I'm gonna take it off the heat for a moment. Ooh. Keep stirring, keep working it. Off the heat for maybe 20 seconds or so. Go back on, and that's when I'm gonna put my first ingredient in, which is those couple pads, I think is what you said, pat?
Pat.
Couple pats of butter. All right, so I put the 2 pats of butter in. They're melting right now. All right, taking it off the heat a bit. Taking on a little more volume, a little more texture in the scrambled eggs. So I'm gonna put some more sour cream in there and then put it back over the heat for the final cook. And then the last thing will be salt to taste. And I'm not sure how much you would say that is.
It's probably like 3 tablespoons.
Stir and then throw a bunch of salt in there so that I'll be able to taste in just a moment. Boom. Next step is the eggs are combined with the sausage. That is mixed together. My boy might be upset that I'm doing this without him. He's my big helper. Here's all of our elements for the burrito. You have your tortillas. What I do and what I suggest, when you heat up the tortilla shell, they're easier to fold, they don't tear. So I'm gonna heat up these tortillas for 20 seconds or 30 seconds, and as they become cooler, I'll heat up the next group. 14 eggs, sour cream, and cheese. Add whatever you want to this mix. This is a great breakfast if you're on the go, or even if you have older kids, middle school, high school kids, they can grab them out of the freezer, warm them up as they're heading out to the car to drive to school, or heading out to the bus even. First layer, sour cream, eggs. It's maybe about a spoonful and a half on the egg mixture. Your cheese. If you're a cheese lover, add as much as you want. Then it's the rolling. Up on the sides, you may have your own way of doing it. If you do have a great way, just share with us so we can copy you. Pinch on the corners here on the back, and then as you're rolling over, you're pushing in with your fingers on the front. And about right here, everything should be fitting, so you can roll over a couple times tightly, pushing down finally, hoping that it didn't break through anywhere. And I found that these, I think we showed the packaging, but I found that these organic tortillas from our local grocer, Harris Teeter, withstand the cracking when you're folding. Final stage for making them freezer ready is large freezer bag, parchment paper. If you put them in the freezer bag without the parchment paper, they may stick together. Kind of like you wrap the burrito, you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna wrap over top. And then fit those however you think best in the freezer bag. Okay, you're able to fit 6 in here. Put that in the freezer just like that. When you're ready to eat, pull them out of the freezer bag in the morning. Obviously unwrap the parchment paper. And then I'll usually heat mine up for, if it's just one, for about a minute or a minute and 15. But while it's heating up, you're warming your pan. We're gonna toast the tortilla shell, so there's a little crunch on every side if you can.
While he's doing this, I have an opinion on this part that I do want to share with you guys. So he's toasting this in butter. We have tried this a couple of different ways. So butter is the best, in my opinion. Olive oil was the worst. It created the most amount of smoke in the reheating. And the second best was definitely coconut oil. It had a good flavor to it, and it didn't create a lot of smoke, but I do love that extra flavor that butter adds to it.
You're just putting it on each side for maybe 20 seconds. And that's the color you're looking for on every side. You have your finished product there. Super yummy, super yummy. This is my favorite frozen breakfast that we have that you've seen on the channel. The biscuit roll-ups are really good, but there's too much biscuit to the inside. And here you see that it's almost all filling because that's the nature of a tortilla. In fact, that's why I like the organic tortillas, because the non-organic, the white tortillas, are thicker, much thicker than this. It's delicious. I went pretty liberal with the sour cream. I've added more each time, and I think this is the perfect amount. And you saw me, I put a lot of sour cream on there. If you don't like that flavor, you obviously don't have to base that at the bottom. You can just do the egg and sausage, but it does kind of bind it together, that sour cream. But it's delicious, and you have that little crunch through the bite from toasting it in the pan.
I completely agree that these are delicious. I think it's the perfect amount of sour cream. I like that a lot. Now, I'm a bread lover, so I have no issues with the biscuit roll-ups having a lot of breading in them, but these are two different options that are also similar in flavor and taste. So if you know that you like a lot of bread, maybe you go for the biscuit version. If you don't like as much bread and you want more filling, you go for this version. Now that we fry them or saute them, I'm not even sure what you would call that, honestly, in butter, I think they're excellent. I think that has made a huge difference. You don't have to add that crunch to the tortilla. You could just reheat these in the microwave and then you can just go with it there. But it is worth it if you have time to take that one extra step. If you don't know what we're referring to when we talk about the biscuit roll-ups, check out this video right here and you're gonna find them. This is something that we have been working on over time. We've made them 2 times here on my channel. The first time I did them a little bit different, and the second time we completely perfected the way that we make the filling. So check that video out if you wanna know more about those. Friends, we're making another bacon lattice quiche. We are going to use this right here. This is the Smithfield thick cut, naturally applewood smoked bacon. I went ahead and got the family pack. We won't be using the entire pack for this recipe. I'm making an appetizer because we're having some friends over, so I wanted to make sure that I got the bigger pack. I also want to point out that the Smithfield bacon is gluten-free. There's no MSG, no artificial flavors or colors, and the pork that's used contains no added hormones. So usually the one that I buy is a completely all natural one by Smithfield, but our grocery store was out of it this time, but it also doesn't have nitrates or nitrites. If you are going to make a bacon lattice, it is better to use a thick cut bacon. In my opinion, it's easier to use the thick cut bacon, plus you get that bacon flavor, lots of it. The only thing I can ever think of when I'm talking about this is basket weaving. So I'm gonna lay down some pieces of bacon here, and then we're just gonna weave the other pieces through. It'll make sense in just a minute if you haven't seen me do this yet. Let's go 5 pieces. So we want them to be relatively close together. Now you can do this directly on top of your quiche. You do not have to pre-make your lattice, but one thing that I found out through this process of kind of trial and error is that if you pre-cook the lattice just a little bit, so I usually will pre-cook for about 10 minutes or so, it helps so that the bacon will cook all the way through. So if you lay this on top of your quiche, with the amount of time that the quiche needs to be in there, I didn't find the bacon cooked all the way through, and I like my bacon really crispy. Weave this just like basket weaving. I mean, we all learned basket weaving like in elementary school, right? Or when you had to cut the sheets of paper and weave them together. Do you guys remember doing that in elementary school? That's it. No, my husband remembers doing that in elementary school now. Where are all my elementary school teachers here? Raise your hand in the comments. Bless you, by the way. So my oven's currently preheating to 400 degrees, and we're gonna just let this cook for about 10 to 13 minutes or so, just to get a pre-cook on it. And it really does help to have the bacon cook up the whole way then once we lay this on that raw quiche. I'm gonna shred up my own potatoes because we have lots of potatoes right now, but feel free to just buy a bag of frozen hash browns. That is completely fine too, same effect. If you do not know what I'm using, this is my cheese grater. We use it every single week without fail for so many different things. Carrots, potatoes, cheese. I mean, I will find so many things to use this cheese shredder on, and there's also a slicing insert as well, so that comes in handy for things like cucumbers and stuff like that. One other thing that I love about this is it's almost kind of like it peels the potato too, so I don't mind the peel, but it peels a lot of it off. You would use a 20-ounce bag of the hash brown potatoes if that's what you're going with. One thing that I want to do is take a couple of paper towels and just pat them dry just a little bit. I mean, there's not a ton of water. You may want to do this with the frozen ones too, just getting any excess water out. And that's really going to help them crisp up. So when you put these in the oven, you want this nice crispy crust. It's just so good that way. We are going to add salt. I'm adding about a ½ teaspoon. We also want to add around a ½ cup of shredded cheese. This is a white cheddar. Now I'm just going to toss all of this together, combining it, making sure that we have seasoning on everything. This is my favorite crust for a quiche. I love a potato crusted quiche. I'm going to spray my pie dish, and we will press in all of this into the dish. This is a lot. You probably could go with less. I mean, I don't hate potatoes though. So we want to go up on the sides and then press down in the center. All right, we've got a good crust nest here, and my hands are still wet. I just washed them. We are going to, just for good measure, I like to add just a little bit more salt, just to make sure everything is nicely flavored, because you know, potatoes, they have no flavor to them. You gotta add salt to have the goodness come out, okay? We're gonna go ahead and put this in the oven for about 15 minutes and let it bake on 425. When you make a quiche, feel free to add whatever kind of add-ins you like. We have done broccoli, we've done spinach, we've done feta. There's so many different things that you can add in. For the purpose of today's video, I'm keeping it very basic. I'm doing just a basic quiche with that shredded potato crust and the bacon lattice. I just want you to see how simple it is. And then you add in the things that you love. Let's start with some eggs. Most recipes, whenever you make a quiche, for some reason call for 6 eggs, okay? Now, I know eggs are kind of expensive right now, but I like to add more eggs than a recipe calls for. I just think like I want it to be a little more hearty, a little more protein heavy. So I usually will go with more like 7 or 8 eggs. Also, if you get a shell in there, the best thing to use is the shell to get the shell out. Feel free to mix these eggs, whisk them together with a fork or your KitchenAid mixer. I just got my handy dandy hand mixer out and we're just gonna use this. I could use the KitchenAid mixer, but this is pretty convenient too, so we're just gonna do that. You wanna mix until it's light and fluffy. We are going to add in some cheese into this mixture. I know we added some to the crust, but I mean, I just don't hate extra cheese. So I'm gonna add probably, again, about a half cup. We're getting to the end of this. Let's just add all of it. It's probably closer to a cup. I'm also adding about a half cup of milk. I'd always eyeball it. You can absolutely always use heavy cream too, and that's gonna give it even more richness. Now here, I love to add spices here. I just feel like it elevates it. You're gonna get so many good flavors. So we are gonna add a touch of onion powder, and I probably add, that's probably a half teaspoon. We'll do the same with that wasn't onion powder, that was garlic powder, but we are adding onion powder, and we are doing a half teaspoon of that as well. The more flavor you can add, the better. I love paprika. It just adds a smokiness, so adding a little bit of paprika. It's also probably about a half teaspoon. My grocery store, I actually went to 2 different grocery stores and they were out of chives this time, so we're gonna pass on the chives, but I am gonna add some parsley, fresh parsley for color, because I do think it's beautiful when you see a little bit of green come through. But again, you could add broccoli, chopped broccoli to this. Asparagus is so good in quiche. You could add that as well. You're gonna get some green from that. Okay, we'll probably leave this out so we can add some more at the end for garnish. You guys know I love my herb scissors. This is like one of my Christmas gift highlights right here. I use these things all the time. They're always linked in my description box too. If you are interested or you would like a pair, just mix that together. See, it adds that beautiful green. I love seeing that. When the crust comes out, we can go ahead and pour this in, and then the bacon lattice, for lack of a better term, is like icing on the cake or bacon on the quiche, truly. Take that mixture that we made, the egg mixture, and we're gonna pour this all over. Perfect fit, and they do expand just a little bit, so you want to count on that. Take that bacon lattice and place it on the top. So this is just gonna set right on here. Like I said, I mean, this is truly the icing on the cake. And one thing I've found is I like to press it in just a little bit, because I feel like when it bakes and the bacon bakes into that just a bit, it looks really pretty. Okay, so I'll just press just ever so slightly, but leave it kind of resting there on the top. I'm lowering my oven temperature to 375, and this is gonna go in for about 40 minutes. Look how absolutely beautiful this looks. I love this one. We have made a bacon lattice quiche several times now because it is just so pretty and delicious. Look at that. Look how delicious. Beautiful layers, so tasty. Now, typically what we do with this is I make this and then we put it in the refrigerator and eat on it for 3 to 4 days. Usually you can freeze these. I have made 2 at a time and frozen 1. Just make sure you wrap it really good in foil and or some sort of freezer safe bag. If you're reheating this from the refrigerator, usually what I'll do is cut a slice and then pop it in the microwave for in between 45 seconds and a minute, just depending on the size of the piece that you cut. Another tip that I have is when I cut these, sometimes I'll just put a little slice right down the middle, and that helps to heat it all the way through. But it is perfect reheated. I'm telling you, this is easily the 30th quiche that we've made for breakfast to reheat. It works so well for our family and it tastes delicious. French toast sticks are something that I almost always have available in our freezer. It is so easy for my kids to reheat these, and they can pop them in the microwave or the toaster oven or the air fryer. There's a couple different ways we can do this. I'm gonna show you a very basic way to make these. They're so easy and my kids love them, but I have to refer you to these French toast sticks that we made in this video right here. They were made in the air fryer and they are the best. They're absolutely delicious, okay? We ate them and they were like dessert. So obviously you can make those and they're gonna be so good, but these are really basic French toast sticks that even your kids can reheat on their own. So I'm starting with a couple of eggs here. Whenever I make these, I make them in bulk. So you just wanna make however much you think you're gonna use. Oh, also, one of my tips is that I like to use a bowl that's not a traditional shape, a bowl that will easily, a piece of bread will sit in. Sometimes when I use a round bowl for making these, I feel like it's harder to get the bread to kind of sink into the egg mixture. That's just a tip that I have along the way. Let's add a touch of milk. I always do that. That's probably maybe 3 tablespoons or so. And we'll just start to incorporate this together, but we're gonna add more. I do like to add a touch of cinnamon. This is probably a ½ teaspoon or so. And just make sure we incorporate that into the egg. Now, I don't know how many times I've said it here on my channel, but it has to be in the hundreds. We prep bacon or sausage almost every single week and have it in the fridge ready to go, so it just needs to be reheated. So that's one thing I love about these French toast sticks is my kids can grab these out of the freezer and then they can grab bacon or sausage out of the fridge and just reheat that. And I don't have to cook a full breakfast for them to have a full breakfast. When I make these, I do like to pull out this, what do you call this thing? It's a griddle, but it's obviously a different shaped griddle than most flat griddles. It closes up because it's also a panini press. So I really like to use this just because I can do multiple pieces at a time. This is something that can definitely be done on your stovetop though, so don't feel like you have to have one of these for this to work. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this on and let it get nice and heated. Okay, so the ready sign is on. So we are gonna go ahead and get started on this. I am starting, you guys know I love this artisanal bread. It's a thick cut bread, which I think is really perfect for French toast. You could obviously use, any type of bread that you love. A sweet bread is really good for this too. Now I even use the heels, you guys, because my kids will eat the heels. So don't be afraid to do that. So we just dip, and then I just start adding to this, why can I never remember the name of this thing when I'm talking about it? Griddle. So depending on the size of the bread, I can usually get in between 3 and 4 pieces, which is great because I can make quite a bit at one time. And like I said, I'm gonna be making almost 2 full loaves of these. So like you can see here, you're really just making regular French toast in the same way that you typically would. And then the next step, I'll show you what we're gonna do. Once these are done, I take them off and I just put them on a cutting board. I let them cool for just a minute or two, and then we're gonna slice them. You might actually go ahead and just prep the next batch, and then you can go ahead and slice while you're cooking the next batch. Okay, you can take your serrated knife, or this is also super convenient to just cut. I usually cut ours into 4s. I've also done 3s. It's completely up to you and your family and how many, like what size you want. But 4s works really well for us. I like to take them, cut them, and then lay them on a baking sheet. Also, I say these are for my kids, but y'all, I love them. Once I have one round on here, flat in a single layer. I'll put some parchment paper down so that we can put the next layer on top of that. The reason for this is I'm gonna put this whole thing in the freezer and let it freeze like this, because after it freezes, then we'll transfer it to baggies. And the reason for that is I feel like they don't stick together if you freeze them that way. When you're ready to use these French toast sticks, just reheat them for a couple of seconds in the microwave, serve them alongside your favorite syrup and whatever your favorite breakfast meat is. Thanks again to Smithfield for sponsoring today's video. Don't forget to check them out in your local grocery store where you can get all different kinds of breakfast meats provided by Smithfield.
That you don't often see my cat probably in the videos because she doesn't like Amber much, but she follows me around wherever I go. I turn the oven on.
That's not the oven.
Nice. I turn the stove on.
Yep. Our verse this week comes from Jeremiah 31:25. For I will satisfy the weary soul, and every languishing soul I will replenish. If you guys enjoyed today's video, don't forget to check out the other 2 videos that I referred to. I will have them linked in the description box, and check out the video above for more inspiration.